The Millionaire Widower's shocking offer changes virgin millionaire's life forever. It started with a rumor that William Hunter, the reclusive billionaire no one had seen in months, was making an impossible offer. Not a business deal, not a charity announcement, something personal. And it was sent straight to Emily Brooks, the young millionaire everyone whispered about, the one who guarded her fortune like a fortress and kept her heart locked tight. William Hunter's New York mansion stood frozen in winter, its cold walls echoing with emptiness since his wife's sudden death. Outside, bleak gray skies pressed down on the city, matching the chill that crept into every corner of his grand but lifeless home. Inside, dark wood, gleaming marble floors, and dust-covered portraits bore silent witness to his solitude. The air smelled of expensive whiskey and forgotten memories. His hands trembled as he stared at a letter he'd never meant to send. Why her? What did this shadowed figure want from the innocent millionaire who avoided the spotlight? But there was more. Strange things followed. Murmurs at exclusive clubs, whispers from her closest advisors, a chill creeping along her spine when she stared out at the glittering city lights. Hidden agendas twisted beneath every gesture William made. The man's eyes betrayed a haunted past, an ancient grief that refused to die. And Emily, her trust, once like a steel safe, showed the first cracks. Soon dark family secrets clawed their way into the light, secrets Emily never imagined, secrets that threatened to tear apart the life she'd built. Names came up in hushed tones, old alliances shattered at a glance. The walls around her weren't just protecting money, they were hiding danger. And William? His yearning wasn't just for companionship. It was for redemption, for escape from ghosts that stalked him at every turn. Then the shadows deepened. Someone, lurking just beyond sight, had begun to watch them. A shadowy adversary, playing a cruel game. Their vulnerabilities were weapons now, ready to be used. The fragile alliance between William and Emily twisted and broke like ice underfoot. Was he the rescuer or the prisoner? Were they pawns or players? A chilling discovery sealed the night. A locked drawer in William's desk, thrown open to reveal a photograph, torn and fading. With a face none expected, questions poured in like winter rain. Who was pulling the strings? What darkness lay beneath the surface? And most of all, could either of them ever escape the past that clung like a cold fog? The city seemed to hold its breath. The story was just beginning. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just quickly check that red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're at it, leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know each incredible person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The photograph trembled in Emily's hands. Edges curled and colors faded like a ghost from another life. She stared at the face, sharp jaw, familiar eyes, someone she thought she'd never see again. The room felt colder now, the weight of silence pressing down between them. William's voice was a whisper, rough and broken. You don't know. You can't imagine. Who is this? Why? Why didn't you tell me? Before William could answer, the sharp crack of shattering glass exploded through the mansion. The sound sliced through the stale air, pulling them both like a sudden gale. The grand window beside the mahogany desk splintered outward, ice shards skittering across the marble floor. A figure slipped inside, swift and shadowed. Emily stumbled back, heart hammering, breath caught deep in her throat. William moved forward, hands outstretched, but their visitor was faster. A cold blade flashed, short, brutal, and in a heartbeat, it sank into William's side. He gasped, a ragged, broken sound, as blood darkened his pristine shirt. Emily screamed, lunging forward, but the attacker vanished as fast as they'd come, slipping into the darkness beyond the shattered window. William leaned heavily against the desk, eyes wild and filled with something terrible. Fear, anger, regret. Emily clutched his arm, hands trembling like leaves in a storm. Who was? He shook his head, pain ripping across his face. They're closer than I thought, closer than ever, and now they know about you. A heavy silence fell. The city lights outside flickered, unaware of the life and death struggle inside this cold mansion. Emily's eyes burned with confusion and terror. Wait, what do you mean? About me? William coughed, blood bright against his pale skin. Then, with a shuddering breath, he said something so shattering it broke the fragile trust they'd begun to build. This isn't just about money or grief. You're not who you think you are. You were never just a lucky heiress. You're the last living link to a family I swore to protect. Emily, you're my daughter. Emily blinked, the world spinning fast. Her mind jerked back to moments, fragments of memories, pieces that had never fit before. Her late mother, a secret past whispered in shadows, a life rewritten by lies. No, she gasped, shaking her head. That can't be. You're lying. William's lips trembled. I wish I were. I tried to keep you safe. From them, from me. Her chest tightened until it felt crushed. The walls around her money, her life, shattered. The fortress she'd built wasn't around cash. It was built around a truth she wasn't ready to face. And outside, footsteps echoed. Slow, deliberate. The mansion's door creaked open. You can't hide anymore, a voice hissed from the dark. We've found her. Emily spun, heart pounding so hard she thought it would burst. William's hand clutched hers with surprising strength, blood seeping warm between their fingers. Emily, he said, voice breaking. This is just the start. The city held its breath, and nothing would ever be the same again. The old door creaked open slowly, shadows spilling into the room like dark water. Emily's breath hitched. The heavy air felt sharp, too tight around her ribs. William's fragile grip tightened, his blood warm and sticky in her hand. A figure stepped in, tall and calm, calm like a stone. The low voice cut through the silence. "You can't hide anymore." Emily's heart slammed against her chest. She stared, searching for a face, a clue, but the visitor wore a mask. A cold white mask that hid everything except eyes burning with a hard fire. William's breathing slowed, eyes flickering between fear and something else. Guilt or something darker. "You're too late," he rasped. "It's already done." Emily blinked, confusion clouding her. "Done? What do you mean? Who are you?" The masked figure took a step closer. "The truth has been buried too long. Time to dig it up." Suddenly, the chandelier above shuddered, flickering lights casting jagged lines of shadow. Emily saw William's face go pale, not from the injury, but from a shock that broke his soul. Then, without warning, he sank to his knees, hands shaking. "Emily," he gasped, voice cracking, "you're not my daughter." Her breath froze. The room tilted. "What?" Her voice was a whisper, but it sliced through the silence like a knife. William coughed, crimson pooling beneath him. "I lied." His eyes were glossy, haunted. "I lied to protect you. I lied to protect you. And myself." Emily's world shattered. The fortress of lies crumbled into dust. The masked figure moved forward, and with one swift motion, he pulled off the mask. The face beneath was a cruel mirror of her own, familiar, yet a stranger. Her blood ran cold. The woman in front of her was no stranger at all. "Surprised to meet me, Emily?" The woman smiled, cruel and cold. Emily staggered back, eyes wide with disbelief. "It can't be." "This," the woman said, voice dripping venom, "is why your father went mad. Because you weren't his daughter. You're not even who you think you are." Emily's legs gave way. She sank to the floor, griping William's bloodied hand as if it would anchor her to reality. What are you saying?" The woman crouched beside her, eyes sharp and merciless. "You were switched at birth. Your parents, William and Catherine Hunter, never knew who you truly were. You were taken, raised among lies, and now I'm here to bring you home, whether you want to or not." Silence crashed over them, thick, suffocating. Emily's mind spun. All her life, the whispers, the secret pain, the hollow trust, everything was twisted, a staged play, with her as the fool. William coughed again, blood on his lips. "She's right." Emily jerked her head toward him, fury and betrayal burning bright. "How could you? All this time? I wanted to protect you from the real darkness, he choked. But your darkness, she spat. You trapped me in a prison of lies. Suddenly, the faint sound of sirens swelled in the distance. The woman stood, cold and commanding. You belong to another world, Emily. This isn't over. Not by far. Emily looked down at the torn photograph, still clutched in her trembling hands. The face she once thought was her father's was a mask. Another lie, and outside the broken window, the city waited, oblivious to the storm that shattered one woman's life and built another's cage. One question screamed louder than all the rest. Who was she really? And what nightmare had begun the moment she was born? The heavy silence in the mansion was almost suffocating. Emily's fingers still gripped the torn photograph, her knuckles white with tension. The woman, cold, sharp, merciless, stood over them. William lay back, breath shallow, blood shrinking the color from his skin. Outside, the city lights blinked like nothing had changed, but nothing would ever be the same again. Emily's mind thrashed, spinning fast and furious. Switched at birth. Lies, a fabricated past, and now this woman was here to bring her home. But maybe, nothing was what it seemed. Suddenly, a deafening crash filled the room. The chandelier pulsed farther, then exploded into a storm of sparkling shards. Glass rained down like deadly rain, glittering knives in the low light. Everyone froze, and then, from the shattered window, a man jumped through the chaos. Drenched in rain, soaked to the bone, with eyes burning pure fire. "Stop!" his voice cracked sharp. "You don't know what you're saying." Emily backed up, heart pounding like a drum in her ears. The woman with the mask-faced smile narrowed her eyes. "Who the hell is this?" The man staggered forward, rain running down the tense lines of his face. "I'm the truth you've been running from." Emily's breath stopped. William's eyes flickered up, confusion swirling with pain. "No, it can't be." The man's gaze snapped to William. "I'm your son." Emily's hands trembled so hard she dropped the photograph. It fluttered to the floor like a burned-out flame. "Your son?" The woman laughed, a low, bitter sound that twisted the air. "That's not possible." The man shook his head violently. "Listen carefully. I'm Michael Hunter, your firstborn, the real Hunter heir, the one stolen, the one you erased." Emily blinked, chest tightening until she couldn't breathe. "I was taken from you the moment I was born," Michael said, voice breaking. "Kept hidden, raised in silence, while lies covered the truth like a grave." William's lips trembled. He turned to Emily, desperation etched deep in his fading eyes. "I lied about you being my daughter, but I never told the full truth. You, Emily, you were the child meant to protect me, not the other way around." Emily stumbled backward, clutching a broken chair for support. Her mind screamed, but her voice was lost. The woman from before snarled, stepping toward Michael. "You're lying, just like the rest. There's only one hunter heir, and she's right here." Michael's eyes burned with something fierce. Rage, sorrow, determination. "No, you were raised to be the perfect hunter, but you're a lie." Suddenly, William gasped, coughing deep and wet. Blood spilled faster now, staining the polished floor. His hands twitched, reaching blindly. Before anyone could react, he grabbed Emily's arm with a sudden strength that shocked her. "Emily," he whispered, voice fragile but clear. "Listen to me. Michael's right, but not in the way you think." Emily's chest tightened. "What do you mean? What is going on?" William's eyes fluttered closed briefly, then opened wide with urgency. "I never told you because it was too dangerous, too cruel. Emily, you weren't switched at birth. You were created. A secret project, a carefully built experiment to protect the hunter legacy." Emily's world cracked open. "Created?" William nodded weakly, every breath a struggle. "You're not just a girl stolen from another family. You're the first successful clone, a copy of Catherine Hunter herself. The real Catherine died years ago, her death covered up. The woman claiming to be your sister is actually the last living true hunter." Emily stumbled, heart pounding so hard it felt like it might stop. "You're not only not their daughter," William gasped. "You're something else. Something no one was supposed to know." Silence crashed over the room. Then the woman laughed, cold, cruel, victorious. "So much for secrets," she said with a sneer. "You're a copy, a failure born of madness. I'm the hunter bloodline, and I'm taking what's mine." Emily fell to her knees, the pieces of her shattered life swirling in a dizzy whirlpool of horror. "Created? Cloned? My whole life was a lie." Outside, the sound of distant sirens grew louder. The night swallowed their cries. But inside the mansion, a deeper nightmare was just waking. Emily looked up, eyes wide, soul ragged, and realized, with a sick twist, that no one was who she thought they were. Who was really pulling the strings? And what monster had she become? The shattered photograph slipped through Emily's fingers, fluttering like a dying bird before landing on the blood-smeared floor. The woman's cold laugh echoed off the marble walls. William's ragged breathing filled the heavy silence, the air thick with desperation and dread. Emily's mind raced. Created? Cloned? The word hammered inside her skull. She looked up, eyes wild, heart slammed against her ribs. The woman was still there, smirking like she'd won some cruel game. But then, the ground beneath them rumbled. At first, it was faint, a low vibration that shook the dust on the shelves, humming through the floorboards. Then a sharp, violent jolt slammed the entire mansion. Glass trembled and rattled, hanging on the edge of breaking. But it didn't. Emily's breath caught in her throat. William's eyes snapped open, wide and wild with fear. Earthquake? She scanned the room, icy calm switching to raw alarm. Suddenly, the walls shuddered with a deafening crack. The floor beneath Emily cracked like thunder, splitting apart in a jagged line. She stumbled, trying to keep her balance, but the ground tore open just inches from her feet. Dust exploded upward, choking the thick air. Then he appeared. From the creeping darkness of the gaping pit, a hand shot up, then another. Then a figure pulled himself out, face pale, soaked in dirt and blood. Michael. His eyes blazed with fire. "Stop!" Everyone froze, staring at him like a ghost risen from hell. But then the impossible happened. The ground shook again. Faster, harder, and a second figure crawled out. Not a man, a woman. Her face was blurred by dirt and shadow. But Emily's heart dropped when their eyes met. It was her, the real Catherine Hunter, the mother everyone thought was dead. She gasped, voice ragged with pain and shock. "Emily, you're not a clone. You're me." Emily's breath caught, the world twisting sick and upside down. William wheezed, a faint flicker of hope or madness in his fading eyes. I tried to protect both of you." The woman, the one who claimed to be sister, staggered back, lips trembling. "No, that's impossible." But Catherine's shaky hand reached out to Emily, trembling as if pulling fate itself toward them. "I was hidden, erased from the world. The cloning lie is a cover. You're my memory, my conscience, part of me brought back." Emily's mind screamed, her entire life, her identity, shattering again. Michael stepped forward, glancing at William with grief and fury. They split her to survive, to save the name. We're both real. Outside, sirens wailed closer. The house trembled again, and then a sharp crack tore through the room. William's chest burst open like a shattered vase, blood spilling in slow motion. His eyes, so full of pain, locked on Emily's, the dying man's final secret burning bright. With his last breath, he whispered, "They made us puppets, each truth a lie, feeding something darker beneath it all." The chandelier flickered violently, plunging the room into shadows. Emily looked between Michael and Catherine, between the woman who lied and the blood spilled, between past and future, twisting into one impossible living nightmare. Her hands trembled, heart breaking open like the mansion's walls. "What is real?" she whispered. And in the dark, a cold, unnatural laugh echoed, a sound that didn't come from any of them. Something else was watching, waiting. The game was just beginning. But who was really calling the shots? Emily's world dissolved into chaos, and suddenly, nothing made sense anymore. The mansion shook again, this time harder. Dust fell like ash, and the air felt brittle, like it might snap. Emily's hands clenched into fists, knuckles white, heart pounding so fiercely It seemed to shake her whole body. The last breath slick from William's lips. His blood pooled dark on the marble floor. Silence swallowed the room, except for the distant wail of sirens growing louder. Michael's fiery eyes locked on Emily's trembling face. Catherine's shaky hand still outstretched toward her, like a lifeline dangling over a bottomless pit. And then the floor groaned horribly beneath them. Suddenly, the ground cracked wide open, right where Emily sat, swallowing the torn photograph. William's blood, everything. She barely jumped back, breath caught, as the floor split into deep, jagged lines that raced toward the mansion walls. A shadow fell across the shattered room. The woman who claimed to be Emily's sister snarled, stepping forward, lips curled with disgust and triumph. "It's over," she spat, but Emily barely heard her. Her eyes were drawn to the sudden, eerie glow emanating from the crack itself. A pulsing blue light, cold and unnatural. From the split in the floor, a chilling voice echo. "Wrong again, all of you." The three froze. Emily's heart hammered so hard she could barely breathe. The air thickened, pressing down like trying to scream underwater. And then, emerging not from the floor, but from thin air, a figure appeared. Tall, dark, impossibly calm, with eyes that burned ice and fire at once. Emily gasped. Slowly, as the glowing haze dissipated, she recognized the face. It was hers, but not her at all. This was her, Emily, but older, colder, a shadow of herself. Wrapped in a black coat, lips pressed into a line too hard to be human. Michael's jaw slackened. Catherine's hand trembled and dropped. Emily backed away, every inch of her shaking. What are you?" The figure smiled, perfect, ruthless. "I'm the real Emily Brooks, the one you never knew, because she was erased." A cold laugh slipped from Michael's lips. "Huh, erased? What the hell are you talking about?" The dark Emily stepped closer, voice sharp like a knife. "You were a test, a stepping stone, a shadow I was supposed to be, before I fought back, before I was buried." Emily's mind screamed. "Buried? What?" "You," the shadow said, pointing a slow finger, "are my clone, a copy, a lie made flesh, me, stolen and rewritten." Catherine whispered through tears, "No, it can't be." The dark Emily's eyes glittered like shattered glass. "Yes, you think you're real, but you're not. You're me, a shadow cast in wrong light. And now I'm here to finish what was started." The mansion seemed to hold its breath. Emily's knees gave out. She collapsed, head spinning, chest seizing tight. A lump rose in her throat that wouldn't break. She clawed at the floor for something solid. Anything. Michael's fists clenched. Catherine's face crumbled in silent grief. The shadow Emily stepped closer, cold and triumphant. "You don't get to have a life, not when you're a lie. You never were meant to exist. Suddenly, Emily saw it. Through the broken shards of shattered truths, a final cryptic message flickering behind the dark Emily's eyes. You were never the daughter. Not William's, not Catherine's. You were my shadow all along. A shiver crashed through Emily. A scream died in her chest. And then the last light in William's mansion blinked out. The room fell to total darkness. A whisper slithered through the black. Now the real game begins. Emily's pulse thundered, but the question swallowed her. If she wasn't Emily Brooks, then who was she really? And what nightmare had she been living all this time? The answer wasn't in the light. It was in the shadow, and it was coming for her next. The darkness swallowed everything. Emily's breath hitched, chest tight, like it might snap any second. The silence pressed down, thick, heavy, like the world was holding its breath with her. The last light from William's mansion blinked out, and the cold laugh lingered in the shadows. Then, nothing. A long, slow moment stretched, every heartbeat loud and raw. And then, a sharp click. From somewhere deep in the black, a faint glow blossomed. At first it was nothing, a soft pulse, like a heartbeat echoing back to life. Emily squinted. Her trembling hands brushed the cold floor, reaching toward the light. A screen flickered on, blue-white, cold as ice. It showed a face, William's face, but not the tired, broken man she'd just watched bleed out. This one was younger, smiling, sharp-eyed, alive. "What is this?" Emily gasped. The screen crackled. A familiar voice trailed through the room, with a tone sharper than ice, colder than death. "Welcome back, Emily." Her knees buckled, and she sank, clutching the shattered floor. Who is this?" The voice answered without mercy. "I'm not William. I'm the real hunter." The screen flickered again, and suddenly the face shifted. Not William, not Michael, not Catherine. It was her, Emily. Only darker, harder, smiling with a secret no one had the right to know. The room spun, and then came the truth that shattered everything else. "I'm not a clone. I'm not a copy. You're the mistake, an accident in the experiment." Emily choked on the words, heart pounding like a war drum. "No," she whispered. "I'm real. No!" The voice was sharp, cutting through the air like a blade. "You were created to fail. My failure." Suddenly, the mansion exploded in light and sound. Glass shattered. Doors slammed. 1,000 flashing images raced across the walls. The birth records, secret files, hidden videos. Every lie, every cover-up, every dark truth spilled out into the chaos. Emily's eyes watered. The voices of 1,000 unknown voices screaming in the dark. "You're a lab rat. An experiment gone wrong. A shadow of someone who never existed." Her hands trembled uncontrollably as the harsh, ugly truth crashed down. William Hunter wasn't just dying in that mansion. He'd already died years ago. The man they'd seen bleed, rage, and lie was a hologram. A puppet created to keep secrets safe. The real William Hunter? Gone. Erased. Michael's face appeared next, haunted, desperate, and then Catherine's, broken and trembling. Emily's heart shattered. Every bond she thought was real, fake. Every trust, poison. The figure on the screen, her darker self, laughed bitterly. You're just a shadow playing house in a dream world. And just then, through the roaring silence, a new sound cut through. A soft voice, a whisper from the cracks in the wall. It was never about them. Emily's head snapped toward the voice. The shadows shifted, and in the hollow doorway stood someone or something no one expected. Not William, not Michael, not Catherine. It was the house itself, a moving, breathing presence, alive and watching. The mansion groaned and sighed. The walls whispered secrets. Emily's blood ran cold. This, the voice said, low and cracked, is where the truth dies and the game begins again. Her own shadow across the room seemed to twist and stretch unnaturally, merging with the darkness. Emily stared, frozen, terror pinching at her lungs. Had the mansion been alive all along? Had it been the one pulling the strings, the real puppeteer? And if that was true, who was she? Who was anyone in this nightmare? The screen flickered once more, then went black. Silence. Then a single word burned through the dark. Welcome home, Emily. The mansion held its breath, and the nightmare was just beginning. The mansion's silence hung heavy, thick enough to drown in. Emily's breath came fast, shallow. Her heart was a hammer pounding against ribs that felt too tight to hold it in. The word echoed. Welcome home. But what home? What hell? Suddenly, the floor trembled beneath her again. Slow at first, then fierce, like the house itself was alive and angry. Walls groaned. Dust swallowed the air. Emily's knees buckled, but before she hit the ground, a voice cut through the chaos. A voice so close, so sharp that it punched through every doubt. Stop! Emily whipped her head to the doorway. A man stood there, soaked in sweat, eyes wild and desperate. Not Michael, not William. Someone else, someone unexpected. Who? Emily started, but the man didn't wait. I'm James. I'm the one behind all this. Her mind stumbled. James? The name slipped out of nowhere. No one had said it before. James took a step forward, voice shaking but fierce. I was the real hunter, in the shadows, the one they erased to cover their sins. The one who built this house, and the nightmare you're trapped in. Emily's pulse stuttered. Built the house? Nightmare? It made no sense. I created the clone story, he continued. eyes burning, to hide the truth. A cold laugh hissed from behind. The masked woman sneered, stepping into the flickering light. "You're a liar, James, and Luke is waiting for you." Luke, another name. Emily's head spun as the man in the shadows near the shattered window moved forward. A figure she didn't recognize. Tall, silent. His presence sucked the air from the room. James swallowed hard. No more lies. Then, suddenly, the lights snapped out and the room plunged into darkness. A scream. Something heavy falling. Emily's hands flew to her mouth, choking on panic. When the lights flickered back, the room had changed. William's body was gone. The woman, with the cruel smile, was lying on the floor, motionless, blood pooling around her head. And James was smiling, but not like a savior. No, his smile was dark, hollow. Emily took a step back, terror tightening every muscle. "What did you do?" she demanded. James shrugged, eyes cold as ice. "I ended the lie. Now it's time to start the real game." A sudden gout of blue fire roared from the cracked floor, licking at their feet. Emily froze. The voice came again, low, cruel, everywhere. "You're all pawns." Then, a figure stepped from the flames. Not a man or woman. Something else. Black smoke for hair. Eyes shimmering like shattered glass. Emily's breath caught. The face was hers, but twisted, monstrous. The dark Emily stretched out a hand and whispered, "Welcome home, Emily. You've finally arrived, but the real Emily is still trapped inside." Emily's knees slammed to the floor, hands trembling, mind reeling. Trapped inside. What? The shadow smiled wider, cruel and deadly. A cage of flesh and bone. And I'm here to take over, to live her life. Tears burned down Emily's face, but her voice was barely a whisper. "No, I'm me." The shadow laughed, a sound like breaking glass and dying stars. "No, you were never real, just a shadow's copy." Suddenly, everything shattered. The walls, the lights, the shaky air. Emily's world cracked open again, and she realized the nightmare she thought was ending was only just beginning. Her own reflection grinned back from the darkness, but the real horror was clear now. The Emily in the mansion wasn't alone, and whoever held the shadow lived inside her. The fight for her soul had begun. Who was the real Emily, and how long before the shadow won? Emily's chest heaved as the shadow's cold smile stretched wider. The mansion groaned beneath them, walls trembling in a slow, menacing rhythm. Every breath she took felt razor-sharp, slicing through the suffocating dark. The air, heavy and wet like a storm about to break, wrapped around her throat. Her reflection, no, the shadow, loomed over her like a beast ready to pounce. Then silence. A pause so deep it throbbed in the ears. Emily's hands shook. Her legs barely held her weight. Suddenly, footsteps echoed, slow, cautious, deliberate. A figure stepped through the shattered doorway. Not the shadow, not Michael, not Catherine, not even James. It was William, but different. Alive, strong, whole. His eyes glinted with something fierce. Not pain, not weakness. The mansion's dust swirled around him like a storm. Emily blinked. The blood still on her hands felt impossibly real, but her heart slammed against her ribs. "William?" she whispered, voice cracked, smiled. But it wasn't the broken man she knew. It was colder, sharper, smiling like a man who held every secret. And then he spoke. "The game's been rigged from the start." Emily's mouth went dry. He stepped forward, hand outstretched, but not to comfort. It felt like a challenge, a trap. "I let you believe the lies," William said, voice soft but heavy. "Because the truth, it's worse than you can imagine." "What do you mean?" Emily's voice barely rose above a breath. William stopped, eyes flickering with fire. "You weren't a clone, not a shadow, not a mistake." Her heart faltered. Pain stabbed through her chest. "No," she whispered. He shook his head slowly. "You're me. Not a daughter, not a clone, but me. The true William Hunter. The man who died was the shadow, the mask." Emily's breath caught like a razor. What happened to you? Who am I then?" William's smile twisted into something cruel and strange. "You were always the real one, Emily. But I was the experiment. The lie they made to cover the real failure." His hand moved, pulling back the cracked wall, revealing another room, bright, sterile, humming with cold light. Inside, dozens of others, frozen in pods, silent, lifeless. More experiments, shadows, fakes. "We switched places at birth," William said, voice dropping low, "to protect the secret, to hide the truth from everyone." Emily stumbled back, panic tearing through her mind. "So I was the test, the sacrifice?" Her throat tightened. "No," William said with a grim smile. "You were the original, the real Hunter heir." Her knees buckled as pieces slammed into place and exploded in chaos. William stepped closer, his eyes burning with a bitter edge. "And me? I was the shadow cast to die." Emily's hands trembled, the shattered photograph forgotten on the floor. Her own identity, the foundation of her life, crumbled again. The shadow Emily, the clone, the lie, wasn't her. They were him, all along. A hollow laugh burst from William's lips. "You think your nightmare is over." Suddenly, behind William, the pods snapped open. Figures stirred, faces twisted in pain and confusion. One stepped forward, tall, dark, familiar. A woman. Emily gasped. Catherine. And neither William nor Emily had ever been alone. The mansion shook violently, and a voice thundered through the cracking walls. The puppeteer just flipped the board. Emily's heart stopped, because now the nightmare wasn't about who she was anymore. It was about who they all really were, and who was still waiting in the dark. The room plunged into shadow. Then came the whispered truth. The real game isn't about them. It's about you. Emily's breath fractured. Her own name, a weapon. Her own life, the final move. And the questions screamed louder than ever. Who was puppeteering whom? The mansion held its breath, and the nightmare was far from over. The mansion cracked open around them, walls groaning, dust swirling like restless ghosts. Emily's hands shook so hard she nearly dropped the photograph again. William's blood pooled beneath his limp body, dark and slow. But the nightmare wasn't over yet. Michael looked at Emily, eyes fierce but broken. Catherine, the real Catherine, collapsed against the cold marble, trembling like a leaf in a storm. Then the darkness thickened. The room spun, and from the shadows stepped a figure, quiet but commanding. James, the man behind it all. "I built this house," he said, voice low and dangerous. "I controlled the lies, the secrets, the puppets." Emily's heart slammed. "Why? What do you want?" James smiled, cold and empty. "Control. Our survival." Before she could react, the floor trembled violently. The mansion seemed alive, hungry. The cracked walls crumbled. Through the dust and chaos, the dark Emily appeared, her shadow self, grinning like a ghost with murder in her eyes. "Not so fast," she whispered, stepping forward. "This ends now." Emily's breath caught as the two Emilys faced off. A mirror and a shadow, a fight for the soul. The tension sliced through the air. Suddenly, from the rubble, William's voice broke the silence, weak but steady. "Emily, listen." She knelt beside him, clutching his hand, heart breaking. "Tell me, please." William's eyes flickered, burning with fading truth. "I swapped my life to protect you. The real game was to hide from them, those who want to erase us all." Michael stepped forward, voice cracking with pain. "The experiments, the lies, it wasn't just about us. It's about survival." The mansion groaned one last time, a deep, mournful sound, and then silence. Emily stood, trembling, eyes scanning the wreckage. The shadows pulled back, the dark Emily fading like smoke. James was gone. The woman who claimed to be the sister lay still. Michael helped Catherine up, their faces etched with grief. Emily's heart thudded. She was still here, real, broken, yes, but alive. William's final words echoed in her mind. "The real game begins now." She stepped outside into the cold night air. The city below was quiet, but her mind roared. The nightmare had cost so much, and yet a flicker of hope sparked deep inside. A chance to rebuild, to fight for truth, for herself. But even as she took a breath, a whisper followed her on the wind. "Welcome home, Emily." And somewhere, deep beneath the city, a new shadow stirred. The real game wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Only slash the moment to show your support and feed the algorithm. So man, don't miss a single second of the next exclusive chapter, only here on this channel. Smash that like button right now. This is the moment to show your support and feed the algorithm so more people can discover the real tale behind the shadows. Flood the comments with your thoughts, your theories, your shock. Tell us what you think is really going on. This community is everything, and your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how it ends. Only true fans understand how important it is to stand with the story and each other. This is your moment. Subscribe, like, comment, share, because the shadows are waiting, and the game is far from over.